special meeting to order. First on the agenda is memorandum of understanding between the city, McLean Sheridan, and Midwest Ag Energy. So all of you have a copy. Not a lot has changed since the other one. Did everybody read the front page, all the changes that are in there? Does anybody? Well, let me just go through kind of what affects the city. So basically under responsibilities, for the city shall improve and expand its water supply and treatment system as required to produce reliable water supply to meet the city's needs, current contractual obligations with McLean Sheridan up to 240 million gallons of water annually, including losses to meet the future needs of future water supply agreement with McLean Sheridan. Once acceptable funding is secured for new infrastructure, the city shall retain ownership and operation and maintenance responsibilities for the improved and expanded water supply and treatment systems. The city shall provide grant funding assistance in the form of attending meetings with local, state, and federal stakeholders as needed and execute grant application documents as required. The city shall execute a new water supply agreement with McLean Sheridan for up to 240 million gallons of additional water annually. Once acceptable funding is secured, the city shall execute required easements with McLean Sheridan for the location of the transmission pipeline, meter station, and ancillary equipment on property owned by the city. And the city shall participate in a detailed cost of service analysis of McLean Sheridan to validate the findings of the cursory cost of service analysis, estimated blah, 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 for production cost of clarified water. So that's kind of our responsibility, and all that is based on funding being achieved. There is a thing in here about they have in here that proposed effluent disposal cost of service estimates, length per gallons. One of them is through Washburn and the other is disposed to the Missouri River. There's a side note underneath. The city has eliminated disposal of processed effluent through the city's wastewater system as a viable option due to the capacity limitations and potential water quality impacts to its treatment processes. So that's pretty much out of the loop. One last thing, if you go to like the very last, right for the amendments. And this is, okay, so they've got the cost, listed here. It says, if you go to those four things on the bottom, Washburn intake improvements, it says 42% of project costs, all the rest are 100%. The reason that's listed as 42 is when they were doing this, they were taking into consideration that we already have $3.2 million in grants. And this is not set in stone by any means. It's just that's what it was based on when the agreement was written. And I did talk with Corey today, and he said they wanted to leave it there because there's a possibility there might be other entities coming on this system. And then basically what this would say, if we put 100% in there, then it would be all 100% for Blue Flint, where some of it might be for another entity. So that's basically...
So other entities would actually tie on the Sheridan rural water.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And the ultimate goal is the city will pay nothing.
Yeah.
So any questions on this?
So are we, with this, are we going to be putting money water into the McLean County Sheridan thing, or aren't we now? We aren't doing it now, right?
They're buying water from us now.
Oh, they are?
About 10% of our production goes to them.
Okay. Where do we connect onto their lines then?
Up by the RDO, the county shop up there. There's a meter pit there, and
Okay.
that's where they tie in.
So that's not very many gallons a year then?
I don't know, 10%. That's quite
Yeah,
a few.
I mean, it's a fair amount.
And it could
Yeah.
always go up, that's the thing.
Well, and the thing is, this line will belong to McLean Sheridan. It does not belong to Midwest Ag Energy, it will belong to McLean Sheridan, because they are rural water, or they're the rural water supplier for McLean and Sheridan counties.
And this is for treated water,
This,
not clarified
It-
water,
it-
right?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
It could be for raw water, it could be for clarified water, it could be for treated water.
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah. And so basically, you know, I'm not really getting into the responsibilities of McLean Sheridan and the others because it really doesn't affect us. You know, that's entirely up to them. But we don't know yet what size line they're gonna want. I mean, it could be a 12-inch, it could be up to a 20-inch. You know, we don't know. And this is not a contract by any means, it's just a memorandum of understanding. Any other questions?
You better get off their tail and get in motion here.
Well, they're going to meet, I believe, with Bismarck people, either, well, this has to be in by Friday, and I think November 4th, maybe, they're meeting with
That sounds
governor and
right.
his staff and all them people, and try and secure funding, something like that.
So you need a motion to approve.
We need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding.
So move.
Second?
Any other questions on this? Okay, Colin?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Yes.
Yes. Well, if we can get you a copy of this, Ralph, if you would like one.
Yeah.
You have one
available?
Um,
Have mine.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll see you tomorrow, I'll stop in and get that signed, or I'll do it later tonight. Get it passed on, so. Okay, next, bid for a snowgate, Mr. Christopher. Come on up. I asked Chris to give us a bid for building a snowgate for the new plow for the loader. If I remember right, when I remember it's not, when we were, you know, actually, you know, bidding out loaders, I think the gates were almost as much as the plows, you know. Then I actually looked online and it said, you know, gates generally cost at least $10,000. So, but Chris has given us a proposal to build one. And I believe this would be worst-case scenario, correct?
Yeah, the only variations would be if we wanted to put a cushion valve to protect it against impact on that actuator. I haven't quite located an exact number on one of them yet, and then the variations of whatever we want for said cut, or wear edge on the foot of the blade. You know, we could do something like we got on the maintainer, and do just an AR, or we could do a rubber, we could do a urethane, we could do some variations there. I guess I didn't nail that down. This is for pretty much the basic end of it.
Well, you know, people in Washburn are spoiled, they need a gate.
Well, there's 100 ways to do it. You know, this is using that other picture there, that actuator, to stroke it back further than the traditional method, so that when the blade is, say, straight, and traditionally with this a cylinder on it, they stand up almost straight. A lot of times they're even forward a little bit, and if you're piling and pushing into it, that thing's kind of in the way. With this actuator, we'll be able to actually get the thing behind the blade and get it out of the way. It becomes the pivot, it becomes all kinds of things. It's they use these things on the blades that fold the wings in and out. We're just basically turning it and taking it this way. Simple mechanism.
How long did it take you to build this?
Oh, I think I put in there about 3 days worth of actual working, but with the head scratching and stuff that I don't get paid for, I'm sure I have a week into it. There's a lot of, you know, let's go over here.
Chris has built a lot of stuff that really has turned out great, so.
Yep.
And we need to get one for it, so.
The actuator that's splined,
Yeah.
and you're gonna get a blind tubs
There's,
is,
there's spine couplers and some parts that,
that's
Yeah.
coming with them, right?
yeah, that's all kind of figured in there.
Yep, so
The
we have,
variation would be, obviously, hydraulics, ends of it. I threw some on there, obviously, because we're gonna need some hoses and stuff. I talked to Ed. He's providing some Stucci couplers. I like the idea behind it, but secondarily, I guess I'm a little bit hesitant that if it's gonna cost us $300-400 every time we put an attachment on there. I like the convenience of it, but flat faces maybe are $100 versus these Stucci's. I don't know, we'll find that out. I guess I put a note on there that it's, you know, hooking up to that coupler provided by Ed, you know,
Mhm.
because I don't know what that dollar amount's gonna be, but
Right.
there's some, on the ribs in the back of that blade, there's a void in there, we can run the plumbing behind it, and I mean, there's,
it's
the guy
just,
can tuck this thing away.
just if we get the actuator, we should get it extra couplers, you know,
We can,
because sooner or later, their die break. That's your weak point.
everything has fail points at some point.
But that's usually our problem is it failed and we need it right away, and
Oh, yeah.
the parts are,
But there's some other wear items, you know, we wanna put the corner bits on this thing.
I think so, yeah.
And so then we should probably do left and right, and then, whatever the consumable end of it, after I have a flange under something in between, we should have a couple spares.
right, exactly.
This thing, the blade is beautiful, but the way that it's designed, these floating segmented edges, hardware and the retainer and the end corner bit is all very close to the corner. It wouldn't take a lot of curb contact to add damage on this thing. And, I mean, protect.
Right, yeah,
You know, some of that, I mean, I think threw $150 on it for
right.
the corner bit and whatever the consumables are in the end. I'm sure that once you hit print on the CNC table, I mean, we can, you know, knock out a few extra.
Do they make a cap to put over those, bolts that are threaded, I mean, that are exposed or anything, to protect them or anything?
That's why we got the corner bit on there.
Okay.
My personal hanky has got a big shaft that just hangs out there that they beat on, and if it wears out, they got to cut it off and weld a new one on it. It's not very thought through, but they did do something on the end at least to protect it, because obviously they've done damage.
Well, it's gonna rub the curb, I mean, there's no.
Well, you want to. You
Yeah.
want to get down in there, you want to touch it, but you want to get off of it
Right,
also. You
exactly.
don't want to ride the thing,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
But we have a significant investment in this thing. Need to do something to make it better.
I think this is a very reasonable price, you know.
I motion we, go with Chris's proposal for $16.50.
Yeah. Second.
Further discussion? Tom?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
You done by Saturday?
Was that?
Saturday.
22?
Mule Deer Foundation, inside authorization. Chelsea?
Hey, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, I talked to Marshall Johnson, who's the original director for the Mule Deer Foundation, and they do have a state permit. That's why they did not fill out a local permit, so they did not, the state will not accept it, but we have to have this one signed. But included, I did give you the list of all the guns and the prices that are going to be included in this raffle on November 9th, it is.
So when they have a state license, they don't need to get a local?
No,
And that's what the state, or,
we just have to sign this one that they signed here, and then I'll send this to the state, and then the state will look at it, make sure it's correct, and then they approve it, and then they're good to go. But, nope, when they actually have a state license, which I didn't know that until I talked to him and I talked to the state, they don't need a local permit. That's why this form was filled out instead of the local permit.
okay. And that's from tabled from last meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then we got the list of the guns and the price that are all gonna be raffled off.
Yep. We have a motion to approve the Mule Deer Foundation gaming site, or raffle, I should say.
I'll
make a motion to approve that
I'll second it.
raffle.
Who seconded?
I second it.
Second. Further discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
No further, nothing else on the agenda? Thank you, everyone.